Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I have a video for you on how I am going to prune back on my queen behind me here, my beautiful Monstera deliciosa that has had a little bit of a topsy-turn and I need to give it a little bit of a sorting out. Now, I already started doing a little bit of this earlier, and then I was like, OMG, stop! I have to show all of you out there what I'm doing. So I ended up cutting off 2 big leaves at the back so that I could push the stake of this plant up straight, vertical, because this plant had been growing out of the top quite a lot and leaning forward, and the stake started moving more and more and more forward like this. And I was like, okay, one day it's just going to snap and fall off because I haven't been able to get in and support it up. And it wasn't really working at this time because I had a period where I was living at our crystal cottage, which is 1.5 hours drive away from here in our apartment here in Sweden. So I had to have help with watering and so forth. And I think my Monstera deliciosa got a little bit overwatered by the help. And people that don't know much about plants, well, you can't blame them. It's my own fault because my life has changed and I haven't been able to be here as much. But life has changed again because of circumstances in the wider world. So now I'm living from home and I have created myself a lovely garden office with all my plants and my crystal skulls and my crystals around me. And when I'm not working, I have more time to devote to the plants in my apartment again. So now I need to get and do some maintenance on my Monstera deliciosa. So as I said, I've started already with cutting 2 large leaves off at the back so that I could push the stake up against the wall. I've put a lovely stone in the bottom, or a rock I should say, that I found myself. And this rock, when you take photos of it, it is full of crystals and they turn out a kind of purpley colour, almost like amethyst. It was a rock I just found here where we live in Malmö. And I can't believe it. It was just out by the sea, laying there. And I was like, this was meant to be. So now this has a lovely spot in front of my Monstera deliciosa at the bottom of the pot. Probably won't be able to see the purple because it needs to have a bright light on it, but you'll be able to see that there are crystals in it, I'm sure. So I'm just going to get the vase and show you the leaves that I took off, because I also have something else in that vase that I want to show you. You might have already been able to see it behind me here, but this is it. These are the top leaves that I took off at the back of my Monstera deliciosa. And you can see this is a beautiful mature leaf. Look at that. Isn't it lovely? Look at all the fenestrations inside the leaves. And, well, this leaf has just plumped up actually even more since I put it in the vase with water, because the leaves on this plant have been looking slightly droopy. And as I said, I think it's to do with the watering situation. So I'm trying to get her happy again. So that leaf, as you can see, I cut it directly at the bottom. There are no nodes on it, which means this leaf will be beautiful as a display piece for as long as it lasts. And then it will fade out and disappear because it will never have roots on it because it has no nodes. So you're never going to get a new plant from just cutting off a big, beautiful, mature leaf like this and putting it in water. It won't get any roots if it hasn't got a node. But this leaf will stay like this in the water for months with no problem. So that's going to be beautiful to look at. And also I have another leaf here that I took off at the back there. This one's also beautiful. Another different shape, as you can see. And look at this one. This one here got browning tips around. So that is probably an indication of either overwatering or that the moisture is not getting to the top of the plant enough to sustain it. I'm not really sure. So that was the first 2 I wanted to show you in this vase. But then I also took off this stem piece here that was just sticking out on its own with nothing on it because it had a leaf that browned off, so I had to cut that off, and then I was just left with this long piece of stem, and I was thinking another leaf will come out at the top here eventually, but I wasn't willing to wait because that kind of looked funny on the plant like that. So I decided to cut it off because I noticed it does have 2 nodes on it down here where if I can kind of point with one hand, down here where my fingers are. So I'm going to move my hand again, take it closer. So there you go, you can see 2 dots. Those are 2 root nodes coming out. So this stem could end up growing out roots and become a new plant. So I'm giving it a chance, leaving it in the water, and let's see what happens. It's an experiment. And then I have a final leaf here, which is a baby leaf that came out at the top of the plant because when I brought this plant home and repotted it, it had a spurt of growth. And the leaves were coming out and they were looking beautiful. And then in that period when I was away, all of a sudden, the lovely last new leaf that came out started browning out completely at the top and yellowing and not looking so good. The leaf itself looks very nice and viable, and look how many lovely fenestrations it has in it and slits. So it looks beautiful, but this leaf wasn't doing very well, so I decided to cut it off. And while I'm pruning back, this will encourage my plant, I hope, to start growing out new leaves in this growing season. Because it's the middle of April now, 2020, and spring is here, so this plant should start flushing out just as much as many other plants and bring out new growth again. So I thought it was okay to just take this one off and put it in water. And again, I've done that because if you look at the bottom of this one, there you go, you can see a little brown bobble on that as well. That is a node, which means this stem is viable to grow out roots and carry on into a new plant. So I'm really hoping that I will get a wonderful propagation out of this too. So these are just going to live in this vase of water like this, and I have the 2 lovely big leaves as lovely display pieces that are hiding the browning young leaf, which is one of my hopeful propagations. So there are 2 propagations in this vase out of these 4 stems and petioles that are going on here. So that is beautiful. So I'll put this back over on the side because I have another piece of the mother plant that I need to cut off that I am going to propagate that has a huge, and I mean huge, aerial root on it as well. So let's get on with that. So I've come further back in the frame now because I'm going to be getting in and cutting off this area of my Monstera deliciosa you see hanging out here, which is growing out on a long stem, and that is causing a lot of weight on the front of the plant. And I've decided that I want to have her growing more vertically for now, and this gives me a moment to get in and make a propagation. Why not? Because I feel like I have space around the bottom here that I need to fill out more. All the big mature leaves and the beautifulness is going on much more up the top, and then I have these less mature leaves at the bottom, which is great because it shows you the whole stages of this plant's development through leaves that first come out with no fenestrations at all at the bottom, to getting a few fenestrations and slits, to getting more, and then finally at the top, lots of fenestrations and lots of slits and looking beautiful. The propagations that I've taken, I'm hoping are going to get lovely roots, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to introduce them back into the bottom of this pot and fill it out more and have more vines coming up and getting a more jungle-like appearance in the whole overview of the plant, which will hide more and more of the stake in the middle. So I've done a close-up video so you can get in and see this plant closer up, and also to show you exactly where I'm going to be pruning back this plant. So let's have a look at the close-up.
So as we go in for a closer look, you can see the top part of the canopy of my beautiful Monstera deliciosa, where the leaves are much more mature. And round the back here, you can see where I pruned off those 2 leaves so that I could straighten up the stake and get this lovely, taller, straight plant that looks more like a palm tree as well at the moment. And as we go round here and go into the canopy, you can see this stem that is branching right out and very thick. You see that thick aerial root there? I am going to be cutting just under that on the internode above the lower left petiole. And as we go down here, you can see this long aerial root just goes on and on and on, all the way down, and it's joined with many other aerial roots. This plant is full of long aerial roots coming out from all over the plant. Some are going down into the soil in the pot, as you saw there, and some are just going all the way down to the floor and underneath the cabinet and all around. They just won't stop growing. But as we go up again, you can see once again where I will be pruning back that thicker stem that is sticking much more out forward, causing a lot of weight.
So, right, now you've seen the close-up, now you see what I'm going to do. So, I've got myself a vase here. This is one of those brilliant vases I got when I was out raiding the rack, and I have a video all about that. You can see the link. And, well, it was only 15 kroners, reduced to 15 kroners, a great bargain. Now I get to use it. This is actually the largest one I have available at the moment because I've used the other ones. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get my propagation piece to fit into this vase. We'll see, fingers crossed. So before I start, I'm just going to fill this with water so I'm ready to put my propagation straight in. Got my water, let's get pruning. Now, I'll be lying if I say that this isn't gonna feel good because, these plants, these Monstera deliciosa, if they're happy, they grow up very fast, they bush out and they can take over so quickly. So basically, this is not a problem. This is actually good for the plant because you will encourage the plant to start growing out new growth from different areas on the stems, especially where you cut it. It will probably grow out a new shoot from there, but it could also grow out new shoots from other areas on the stems, and then you'll get lots more lovely new leaves. And at the same time, you get new plants, you can reintroduce your pot or into new pots and make lovely new plants to spread out everywhere. So let's get pruning. So I can see that this piece that I'm talking about only has one, and I mean gigantic, aerial root on it. So what I'm going to do is prune right down to the last leaf on the stem underneath the node where the aerial root is growing. So we get that area off. So let's just do this. It's a really thick stem and the aerial root is gigantic, and well, I did it! I did it! Oh! So now, this piece has got 3 beautiful leaves, as you can see, and because they were closer to the top of the plant, look at those leaves. Beautiful fenestrations here, beautiful slits, and beautiful fenestrations, beautiful slits on this leaf. So 3 beautiful big leaves on it. And then look at this here, people. Look at this aerial root. Look at this aerial root. It goes on. Oh, I can't even get it in the picture, actually. It goes on and on. Now it's coming right up to you on the camera, so you can see, there's the aerial root. It goes on and on and on. So look at this. That is one beautiful, viable cutting that I have taken that will propagate and do really, really well, because once this aerial root gets into water, it will start growing off a lot of auxiliary roots on the side of this stem that will become a bunch of roots that will start off this cutting and make it into a new plant. But, and I can see a little bobble here on the side, so I'm not sure if that is another aerial root or if it's another stem coming out. I don't know if I can show you that. See here, there's a bobble. Either it's another stem or an aerial root, and I can actually see another one underneath. Oh, and then I can see another one actually here. It's quite strange, so we'll see. But of course, to get this into this vase to propagate, I'm going to have to cut back that aerial root. It can't be that big, it can't be that long. There's nothing I can do about it. I was actually thinking of just getting this plant, cutting back the aerial root a bit, and then planting it straight back into my pot and just let it do its thing. But I'm thinking, no, I'm going to give it a chance with water first, to give it a chance to grow out some roots. And actually, I want to see what happens, because this is the exciting part, right? When you take a cutting and then you put it in water and you see the roots grow and you see it starting to survive and look nice. I think I want to do that. I want to see the roots. So I've got to cut back. So if I look at my vase and you can see the stem, I'm going to cut back the root so that it can reach kind of near enough to the bottom of this vase so there is plenty of space for auxiliary roots to grow out. I want to keep as much as possible because then I have more chance for the plant to grow out new roots, but I can't keep all this. So this is another experiment, and I'm sure it's not going to do anything bad for the plant cutting down its air roots, because this is out in the air to attract as much moisture to the plant as possible, but this cutting is going to be in water, so it doesn't need all this. So let's just get to this. Boom. Easy, simple. There we go. That's the amount of area root I left. I think that is going to be plenty enough to support this plant to grow out new roots. And then it's got these lovely leaves, and it's got this old sheath still growing here on the side. This I can just take off just to make it look a little bit prettier, but that is no problem at all. That is natural and normal. And there we go. So now I don't know what to do, if I should let all 3 leaves remain on this cutting, or if I should take off. These 2 are more lateral, so I'd be able to keep them more lateral. This one is more going horizontal to the side, but that one and that one are the highest ones. This one's the lowest one, which is down by the roots, so that it would be able to get down in the water more. But you know what? I'm going to leave the whole lot together. Let's get this into the vase now and see what it looks like. So there we go, straight in. No, too long. So I need to cut a little bit more of the roots off. Around there should be okay. Now I should be able to get this cutting into this vase, because the stem needs to get into. Ooh. So look at this. That worked out perfectly. The root is in water. It's all the way down to the bottom of the vase, so that I know that even if I'm not here, it's not going to dry out halfway up because the roots are right up here. I know that it will be able to keep drinking itself water all the way down to this vase is bone dry, if that should be the case, but it will never be like that. So have a look at this closer. There you go. You can see the root all the way down to the bottom. Looks absolutely wonderful. You can see here where it attaches to the stem. Beautiful. And you can see how the stem is, and you can see how the whole plant is in frame here, in its vase, with its leaves and its stem, and it looks wonderful. Oh, I'm going to really, really enjoy watching these roots grow in this vase of water now. This is just wonderful. So now, if we go back to the mother plant, I just actually think this is giving a much better shape to the plant. It's much more vertical, it's much more compact. And now, because I pruned it back in a few areas, there are a few areas that will flush out and grow again, and it will maybe grow out the way I want it to grow, or it might grow out and give me more propagations to make in the future. But because I've taken these cuttings from the top part of the plant, where the stems are thicker and more mature, I know that I will get beautiful new growth on these plants with fenestrations and slits straight away, and the plant is just going to look mature and beautiful. So that is really why I'd love to be able to reintroduce this into this pot and get these mature leaves down low as well, so that I get that all the way up, and then this plant is just going to be wonderful. But we'll see how it goes. I might fall in love with this plant, this beautiful new plant that's coming here, and want to keep it as a separate plant in a separate place. Maybe take it to our crystal cottage so that I have a Monstera deliciosa there, because I don't have that at the moment. So that could be really, really nice. We'll see what I decide to do, because I also have the 2 other cuttings that will be able to fit into here when they flush out roots as well. But the overall shape, as you can see, absolutely wonderful. I love it. Doesn't look much different. And in fact, you wouldn't really know that I'd done anything right. I mean, it still looks very thick and bushy. And look at the size of this one leaf here. I can't really show you that way. This is the back side of it. It's massive. Look at my hand. That leaf is just enormous. So the leaves are getting bigger and, oh, sorry, you're cutting. The leaves are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is just exciting. Basically, you just have to get your nerves together. You just have to get over the fact that you're going to get in and prune your plant and cut pieces off. And you'll be like, oh no, what am I doing? What's the plant? What's the mother plant going to look like? She looks gorgeous. She loves her haircut. And all her babies are going to do wonderful. Look at these leaves. Look at these leaves. Propagations all over the place. From my plant, the mother plant, my queen, that I got at a bargain sale. Oh, right place, right time. And she is just performing really nice for me. Even though she had a bout of maybe too much watering and a little bit of browning on the ends of leaves and a little bit of yellowing leaves, The overall plant is bouncing back, she's looking good, and now look what she's done. She's given me new plants. So just remember, water your Monstera deliciosa, let it dry out, water it again, not too much water. If it gets clogged down in water, it will get root rot. Mine is in a container that has no drainage holes, but I do have around 2 inches of leckables at the bottom of the pot under the soil to help give some space if she should get too much water. But the soil in this pot does retain water for much longer. I also have some leckables on the top, so I will not be watering her for a while. Even if she starts drooping, I'm going to give her a little bit more stress, then water again and watch her bounce back, because I really need to make sure that that soil has got back to a drier condition where I can water again and dry out so that she's not clogged down. And well, basically looking at all these leaves, most of them are absolutely perfect around the edge, nothing really, not much of a problem. Just as I said, the newest one here started browning out, the very newest one, so that was giving me an indication that I need to get in and do something. Well, that's all I have for you for this Gardens and Crystals video with me, Wesley Peterson. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be uploaded. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.